So last night, the Pittsburgh Steelers made a splash by acquiring DK Metcalf from the Seahawks for a second round pick, and then they proceeded to make him one of the highest paid wide receivers in the NFL with a massive 5 year, $150 million contract. So, what does this actually mean for the Steelers going forward? How does this improve their situation, and was this the right move for them in the first place? Well, to answer those questions, we have to take a look at what went wrong last season and what went right last season. By all accounts, the 2024 season wasn't just a lost cause for the Steelers. They made the playoffs going 10 and 7, albeit they did kind of limp into the playoffs in a weird way. Usually when you say teams limp into the playoffs, it means they didn't really start out great, but they found a way to recover halfway through the season and kind of, went on a run. But that wasn't the case for the Steelers. They started 10 and 3 and then went on to lose their last 4 games of the season. Also, interestingly enough, they actually had the lead in the division back in week 11 after a win over the Ravens. So, what exactly went so wrong in the back half of the season? Well, I think the reality is they just kind of ran into a wall. They had to face the Chiefs, the Eagles, Ravens again, and then the Ravens again in the playoffs. And I think they just couldn't really survive that gauntlet down the stretch. And then in the playoffs, they just got ran all over by Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. And the season ended in a very frustrating way for Steelers fans. In a lot of ways, this season felt different than what Steelers fans had been accustomed to in the recent years, but it ended in the same way. And I think that just kind of left a lot of Steelers fans wondering, where do we even go from here? Because they have Russell Wilson, who is aging. He's 36 years old right now, not getting any younger. And obviously, that didn't really work out. I don't think Russell Wilson was at fault for the playoff loss because, like I said, I mean, they just got demolished by the run. The Ravens could not be stopped on the ground. They ran all over them. Derrick Henry had 200 yards. Lamar Jackson ran all over them. It just wasn't happening. But at the same time, I also think that it's pretty apparent that Russell Wilson is not the future for the Steelers. Which then begs the question, can Justin Fields be the future for the Steelers? And while he was solid, I would say, in his starts with the Steelers, I don't really think that Justin Fields did enough to make Steelers fans feel good about him being the future of the team. Again, obviously, he wasn't bad, but I also think that if he had been incredible, the Steelers would have never pivoted to Russell Wilson in the first place. And they only did that because they genuinely believed that Russ gave them the best chance to win. So going forward with Justin Fields seems not exactly like what the Steelers have in mind. And my guess is, given the fact that they made the playoffs, they don't exactly have a high draft pick. And I don't really think that the teams that do have higher draft picks are going to be all keen on trading down, to be honest. I think it's pretty much confirmed at this point that the Titans have no interest in moving down. And I don't think that anyone else that are at the top of the draft have any interest in moving down either, at least not that far. So the Steelers are kind of left shopping in free agency or taking a later round quarterback. And obviously, this opens the door for Sam Darnold or Aaron Rodgers or some other quarterback move in free agency. But I think, regardless of who plays quarterback for the Steelers, when we really look at the DK Metcalf trade in a vacuum and what it means for them going forward, it means that the Steelers are well aware of where they are as an organization right now, and they understand that they need to make some sort of aggressive swings to improve this team. And they also understand that it's entirely possible in the NFL to build the roster before the quarterback. The Steelers don't have to have their quarterback situation in order before they put a roster around him. We've seen this time and time again as early as last year with the Vikings giving Sam Darnold a really good receiving core and a good situation around him. Same thing with the Titans with Ryan Tannehill. We've seen it with the Seahawks even with Geno Smith. You don't have to have a perfect quarterback in order to find success in the NFL. But if you don't have a perfect quarterback, then you're going to have to surround him with talent. And that's something that the Steelers, I think, have finally woken up to. And it's not that they've ever tried to win with less, it's just kind of been the situation that they've fallen into. But now with both Pickens and DK Metcalf, I honestly think this is one of the better receiving duos in the NFL, and the Steelers are going to be better going forward regardless of who's at quarterback. I don't think of DK Metcalf as one of the best receivers in the NFL, but I do think that he is a very good receiver that can be a complement to a number one, or he can play as the one role while they move Pickens over to the Y. And both can thrive in those situations, honestly. I don't really think that DK Metcalf is a player who can't win over the top. I don't think that DK Metcalf is a player who cannot play as a one. I think he's a lower side wide receiver one. But if they want to play him in that role, they can, and they can also alternate him and Pickens around. And this just opens up so much opportunity for them that they didn't have last year when they were basically working with Pickens or bust as their receiving situation. All this to say, I think going forward, the Steelers are going to be a really fascinating team to watch. And if they do land a quarterback that can elevate their offense to the next level, I genuinely think that this DK Metcalf move could be the move that we look back on in the future that puts the Steelers over the top. This is a move that really solidifies their offense as something more than what it's been. And I think they understood that. And that's why they were willing to pay DK Metcalf so much money while not really having their quarterback situation in order or their entire offense figured out. If you made it this far, I just want to say thanks for watching. This is my first attempt at NFL content creation, which has always kind of been a dream of mine, so I figured I'd just throw my hat in the bucket at this point. And I'm sorry if there's any awkward cuts or anything like that throughout the video. Like I said, this is all very new to me, and I'm just kind of learning as I go. So thanks for watching if you got this far, and see you next time.